My name is Kaitlyn. This is my third year at Washburn, and I pretty much chose Washburn because the small class size was more ideal for me. Out of all of the classes I've kind of taken at Washburn, because I'm also majoring in international business, and so I've kind of had the opportunity to take various classes at Washburn. I think that my favorite classes and the best relationship I've had with my teachers has come from the modern language department. I really consider the teachers that I've had in that department to be some of my greatest mentors throughout my college career. In terms of like friendships within the community, I think that it's kind of a cool and unique experience. I decided that for me, Spanish, I wanted it to be something that was I could use with complete fluency and have deeper conversations with people. I still have a ways to go. I'm trying. There's a lot of ways, to reach fluency, but it's a process, and I'm really thankful that I've had the opportunity to use my Spanish in a space where it's welcome and people are inviting, because it's really hard to kind of break out of your shell at first, and you need that support from your teachers and the comfort knowing that it's okay to mess up. I did get to go abroad. I went to Mexico in Guanajuato City in 2018, and that was probably my best experience of college so far. It was actually amazing. It really, took Spanish to the next level for me, because before that trip, I lacked a lot of confidence in Spanish and my abilities, and I didn't really want to use it with people because I was nervous of how they would perceive my Spanish. But after that trip, I feel like I'm much more comfortable with, using Spanish with anybody. And, going on that trip taught me a lot of things about myself and gave me a lot of confidence in myself. My favorite place to study is probably, I like the second floor of Morgan a lot, just because it's usually pretty quiet there, and they've got a lot of nice chairs and spaces for people to sit down. Another place I really like is the second floor of the Union. They have these really big and comfortable bean bags, and it's usually like extremely quiet there. So listening to it really helps a lot. Watching Spanish TV shows with like subtitles in Spanish or English really helps. What I've been doing recently, because I'm not so good at it and I want to get better, is reading books in Spanish and not being so overly concerned if I understand every single word, because it used to really overwhelm me if I didn't know the meaning of the exact meaning and exact translation of every sentence in a book. And now I'm just kind of, going through the book slowly, but with the idea that I'm just going to read it and learn based off of context clues. So I think that's also important, just getting used to the language and how it's written, how it's spoken, and that really helps just subconsciously. I kind of need to have like more structure. So when it comes to grammar, for example, I need to really lay it all out so that I can see it and organize it depending on whether it's present tense or past tense, and like make a bunch of charts. That really works for me. But I know for a lot of other people, it probably works better to have like flashcards. So if you're learning new words, I think it's really good to try and make a sentence with that word, because it helps it stick better in your mind. Like you kind of remember it more that now that you've used it. And it helps with grammar too, because you're putting both of them together. So yeah, definitely trying to use it helps me a lot. I would say that's a good way to study it. You have to go in front of somebody who's really good at what you're learning and present your less good skills. So that's really intimidating, but they usually give you like a broad list of questions that they could ask you. And if you just practice answering those questions or think of answers to those questions, usually it's okay. They're very understanding that you're learning and they want to help you get better. So that's how they can see kind of where your speaking skills are, and that's how they can help you learn. So don't be too intimidated by it. To balance out, your schedule with the two different majors, and if one is more difficult for you, or like you're taking more difficult classes in that moment, maybe try to balance it out by taking a less difficult class in the other one. So when you're studying one, it's like a completely different world to study the other. But I think that in a way that's a good thing, because you get a break from whatever you were studying beforehand. I kind of need a brain warm up before I start using Spanish. So I like to think of it as like a Spanish mode versus English mode. So if I've been working a lot in English and I need to do something immediately in Spanish, sometimes I can't really get into it as well. So maybe try listening to something before you write a paper in Spanish or start a project in Spanish, because it can be difficult to get into that mindset. If you ever need help in whatever language you're studying, there's tutors for you, and they all have a schedule, and it's located on the 3rd floor of Morgan. There's like a little room to the side. And I guess the other thing is, don't be afraid to just go into the office and ask to talk to somebody, because everybody there is very nice.